Javier, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Hi, Jeffrey. Good afternoon.
How's the weather in Barcelona?
Pretty good today, yeah. We are almost 20 degrees.
Nice.
Great.
I'm about the same on my side of the world. We're looking very forward to having a chat with you today about all things SEO. Our readers are very interested in starting websites, in building their traffic, and in getting decent traction in the shortest possible time frame. So I'd like to start by asking you about yourself, what it is that you do, where you're from, and what company you're currently at.
Okay. Well, nowadays I'm 28. I started my SEO career at 22. Nowadays I'm working at 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙦. It's a German company that manufactures plastic for motion for industrial machinery. And I also have my own project, like my own e-commerce that I started 2 years ago at the beginning of this pandemic, this COVID-19. And well, I'm very interested in SEO, also in e-commerce, and I'm always trying to learn. I'm putting all my effort to improve my company website, my own website. And today I will try to share with you guys all the information that I've learned and I've put into practice during these years.
Fantastic. We look forward to speaking with you. What is your company, your e-commerce site? What products are you currently promoting?
My personal e-commerce is called Vivo, and it's an e-commerce. We are selling extra virgin olive oil and honey and this kind of natural products from from food that people like to take, like from villages and from the mountains and so on. It's all natural food, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So like health and wellness and...
Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Why is SEO important to affiliate marketers? I think maybe that's a good place to start. Why is SEO such an important aspect of affiliate marketing this year and in 2022?
Yeah. Well, actually, there are many different kinds of websites in 2022. We have e-commerce platforms, we have blog, we have streaming platforms, we have forums, and there are many different kind of businesses. There are people who earn money by banners. Also, some people are selling products, and all these people have, and these kind of businesses, digital businesses, have one thing in common: they need to be seen. Otherwise, they don't have business. So this is why SEO is so important. For example, if I have a blog, maybe I need as many visitors as possible. Okay, I'm earning money with advertising in my website. I need maybe 1 million users to earn enough money to live, right? If I have an e-commerce, I don't need as many users as possible. I need good users. And this is why SEO is so important, because you have to choose the right keywords to place your website in the right way, so people that are really interested in your product find you. And yeah, SEO can bring you very good results in the medium and long term. We will talk today also a little bit about this short term, why people expect this and how they can achieve these results in the short term, if it's possible or not. Yeah.
Fantastic. Google changes its mind, like I change t-shirts in the morning. There's always something new. There's always something, happening. What is Google looking for this year in terms of high ranking factors?
Well, nowadays, Google is looking so much on how well tag is your website. There is some information that has to be structured. There is some schema, some logical that your website has to follow. Like, for example, the videos have to be tagged in certain way. Also, if you have frequent ask questions, you have to tag them in some way. Google is looking at this tagging, and also is looking to the page speed of your website. It's very important as well. And the content is also one of the key points for SEO. If you are creating content frequently and you are creating also good content, I think these three factors will make Google to love your website and to rank you on the top of the search results.
If I wanted to start a website today and I wanted to start promoting products, what would the main steps, the main few steps be to get started? How would I go about creating a website and bringing it to a point where it actually does profit in the long run?
Well, this is actually not new to me, because as I said before, I started a new project 2 years ago. I would suggest first, you have to think, this is not so much SEO related, but you should think if you want to create a brand or you just want to create a website. There is a big difference between the two of these, because if you want to create a brand, you are thinking on a long-term project. You have to work on branding, you have to advertise your site, you have to make people love you and want to come back. If you are creating just a website, like a blog, maybe you don't want people to come back. You just want people to find your website, solve a question, for example, and they just go. So if you, for example, I think you should think of it like in terms of confidence. If you are going to an e-commerce, you have to trust the e-commerce if you want to, if you will finally buy some products there. So the first aspect that I would consider is if you want to create a brand for an e-commerce to create confidence, or if you want to create a website to make money out of it very quick. If you on the second step will be to think of the minimum viable product. This is called MVP, and is basically that you have to decide what do you need to start your business. What is very important, what you need from the very beginning. For example, I would say if I'm building an e-commerce, okay, I need a webshop, I need content, I need photographies, I need product descriptions, and so on. You have to think how you can manage all this stuff if you have to pay for them, if you can do it yourself. Okay. For example, regarding the content, as I said before, Google values a lot this content. You have to create it very regularly. I'm creating content every week, one content every week for my personal project. But for my company project, we are creating much more content. Daily, we are having so many new pages. So this second is to decide on what you are going to invest. Okay. The third one will be to think that Google has to love your site from the very beginning. So if you are creating a website, or if someone is creating the website for you, it has to be correctly tagged from the beginning. This is very important. and as I said before, creating the content, as much content and as good as possible. Okay, this is critical for a website in 2022.
Could you, could you define the content that you create on your website? Are you running a blog post? Are you doing multiple product descriptions a day? What does content look like on your website?
Yeah. If you have an e-commerce, for instance, you can create two kinds of content. Blog content and then more transactional content in the shop. Okay, for example, if you have a sneakers shop, you can write a blog post about how to tie some shoelaces. This is not very interesting, but you are bringing traffic. You are creating branding because users are starting to know who you are. They are not interested at all in buying your products, but then you are creating and creating content also in the shop. Usually, there is a shop is structured like a pyramid with different categories, and you have to put relevant content in those categories that you want to position in the first page of Google. So this is the kind of content that I am creating. First, more transactional content for the categories on the shop, and then informational content for the blog post.
How do you SEO optimize transactional content versus versus blog content? You personally?
Well, there are some steps that they have in common. Like you always have to tag images and titles, and then the main keyword you have to put some tag for Google to find it relevant in the content, right? And then there are some difference. For example, if I'm working on the shop, on the categories, I have certain products listed on the category. There is some markup that some structured data that you can put on those products. And this structured data will help Google to understand that this is a shop category. And when people are looking for cable carriers, which is what we are selling at our company, then Google understands that we are listing some products, and they will show our category on the Google search results. On the other hand, if we are having a blog post, I recommend in 2022, I would recommend using FAQ, frequent asked questions. I would recommend to add these questions on the blog post, and also to tag it with a schema, which is an structured data that you can put on your questions, and Google will understand this. Nowadays, they are bringing so much traffic to the website, and it takes just a few weeks for Google to understand that you are working with this data on your blog. And really, it makes a big advantage for you behind your competitors.
Very cool. Very cool. You mentioned Schema, if I understood that correctly. Could you elaborate a little bit on what Schema is for our audience?
Yeah, Google is working. Google is trying to understand everything that is in the website. Google tries to understand where is the price of their products, where are the reviews, where are at what time your company is open and when it closes, right? Schema is a vocabulary for tagging all this information in your website that Google is using to understand it. So if I ask to an agency to create a website for me, this website probably won't have any schema. Okay, if I want to optimize my website for SEO, I have to know what schema Google is giving value to, and then to take this schema and add it in the right places on my website.
I see. Are keywords still as relevant as they used to be? Placing the right primary keywords, secondary keywords, etc., especially into longer articles, posts, etc.
They are important, yes, but maybe not as much as they used to be. Yesterday, for instance, I was at my company. I was in the offices. I was with my colleagues, and we found a competitor that had in their website, they had a lot of keywords hidden by using white color in the text. So you confuse it with the background, right? This is a very old practice that maybe worked like 20 years ago, but nowadays it doesn't work at all. And if Google realizes that you are doing this, they will penalize your website, right? So this is not the way that we are working nowadays. But keywords are really important. And as you said, there are several tools that maybe we can talk about later. But these tools and other, you can do it manually as well. But you have to, for example, if I want to rank for cable carrier, as I said before, I will look for this keyword on Google. I will take the first 4 or 5 results, and I will look at their content. From their content, with these tools, you can scrap the main keywords that they are using in the title, in the H2, in the H3, even in the images, in the structured data as well. And you can take all this information and create a content that is gathering the main points of all of them. So you are creating a better content than your components, than your competition, and you will be ranked probably on the top if you are doing also other activities that we will mention maybe later, like link building and so on.
I mean, if we can pivot into link building now, that would be great. Could you perhaps discuss link building with us and its importance in the market, and I guess how we can best do our own link building strategy to the best effect?
Yeah. For link building, you have also to take into account to consider if you are creating a new project. You have to go a little bit more slowly. And if you have a domain or you have a website that has been already working for several years, you already have a backlink profile. When we talk about backlink profile, we are referring to those links that we have achieved in a natural way along the years, that several companies or maybe magazines or blogs have linked to our company content, right? So if I have to do some recommendations for SEO starting with a website this year, for example, and they want to start link build, creating backlinks, I would suggest looking at the competitors on the top of Google, right? And checking their backlinks profile. We have to look mainly at several points. We have to look which kind of pages are linking to them. All right, it's not the same like if they are ranking on the top of Google, is because Google thinks that they are doing it right? So we have to take and follow the steps that they are doing. If they are receiving backlinks from blogs, we are trying to receive also backlinks from blogs. If all of them are receiving backlinks from blogs, and we start creating backlinks from forums, Google will quickly realize that what we are doing is not normal. and then they will probably take a manual check on our site, and they will see that those backlinks were created for us, by us. So I will suggest to go to those competitors, check what they are doing, and try to do it as similar to them as possible. In the backlink strategy, we try to go similar to them. In the content, we try to go to do it better than them. That is when we can hit them, right? Backlink similar, come to a point we may be at the same point with the same profile, backlink profile than our competitors. And then we can start innovating a little bit, because we are the referral on the market, right? So yeah, I think it's very important. I will maybe mention already some tools, because for example, Ahrefs or SEMrush, these ones are one of the most famous tools on the market. At our company, we use Ahrefs, and it's very good to check the competitors' backlinks. Also with SEMrush, you can use and check if the links that the competitors are using are good links, or they are coming from pages that Google could think of penalizing in the future. So you better don't get this kind of links. Well, actually, talking about tools, basic for any marketer, for any SEO, Google Search Console is one of the best to know which pages are currently linking to you. This is a free tool by Google, and you have a section where you can check all those backlinks. When we are getting a project that comes from other people, or a project that has already some time, maybe during this time we got links that are not beneficial for our website. In this case, Google has a tool in which you can send him those URLs that you do not want that Google consider as yours, because you don't think that they are good for your business. Yeah.
So you send them to them, and then they
don't consider these URLs, because otherwise, imagine this was also a popular practice in the past. Google, for example, starts penalizing websites that have. Oh, sorry. I have the sorry, I have the Google Home. He's speaking.
No worries. The joys of working at home.
Okay, I think he's over.
Good to go. No problem. So you were saying?
Yeah, I was saying that maybe in the past, it was very popular that companies did bad practices against competitor, creating links from low reputation pages to their competitor page. So this is why Google considers that it's good to have a tool in which you can send the links that you don't consider that have a high reputation.
And then they get flagged and they get eliminated, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. On the subject of linking, obviously we've been speaking about backlinking. What about internal backlinking? Like where you are linking to maybe subtopics within your own site. Do you have any tips on that? Is it viable?
Yeah, of course. This depends a lot on the size of your website, right? Before I came to the company I'm working now, I had only worked in pages that had like maximum 100 URLs. And this is nothing for Google. Google enters, crawls the whole website, and reads all the information, the data, the structured data that we were talking about before. Google has no problem with small websites. The problem is that when you have a big website, like an e-commerce or a so much years old blog, or you have a marketplace. In this case, you really need backlinks and internal linking. And about internal linking, you have to think that Google gives to your website some crawl budget. That means that they are going to spend, let's make it easy, like 1 minute in your website. It's not exactly like this, but they are going to spend some resources in your company, in your website. We have to try, as SEO managers, we have to try to make Google reach all the pages in those in that time with the resources that he has given to us. So internal linking is the way that we achieve that Google reaches all the pages that we are interested in. If we have a very important page for us, because it is using an important keyword, we want to rank it. And even these pages, for example, we are using PPC, and there are so many users coming via advertising to this page, and we earn so much money in this page. We, of course, want to position this page on Google to bring more users from Google, right? So we have to add several links in certain pages to this page, and we have to use the keyword we want we target for this page. We have to use it in the anchors, in the links that we have to this page. And so we will achieve that Google finds every page that is interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You mentioned PPC now, and it's interesting because it was actually a question of mine. I want to ask you if you feel that PPC is an alternative to SEO. What you feel about PPC? If you could maybe explain just very briefly what pay-per-click is, and how you use it, maybe in your company and also in your e-commerce site, if you do.
Well, PPC is advertising, but advertising on several channels, right? It could be on Google, it could be on other networks, but you are paying per every click that a user does, right? So, for example, we are advertising on Google, and when people are looking, I will talk now about my personal project, when people are looking for natural honey, okay, I have an ad on the top of Google, even above the search result, the organic, the SEO result, right? When people click on this ad, they are coming to our website, and we are paying for this click. We are paying, I don't know, like 50 cents or €1. But this is very interesting because users are looking for our product. It's not that users are navigating through the website or reading some news and they see a banner, right? This PPC is more focused on in Google Ads. It's more focused on the search network. I don't think that PPC is an alternative for SEO, and I don't think that SEO is an alternative for PPC. I think they both are complementary. I would bet for a higher volume of SEO or organic traffic, because what you have to think is that PPC is like a trigger. It's very easy to trigger. You need more traffic, you pay more. But with organic traffic, with SEO, if you are doing it correctly, you can get a lot of users and you don't have to pay more for it. So it's more sustainable. You, of course, need always to have, and maybe small companies don't have the ability to bring traffic via PPC. But yeah, if you have the opportunity, you have to work with both, because there will give you a lot of chances that organic traffic won't do, because ads are always on the top, are more visible than organic results. Yeah, and of course you can consider not only advertising on Google, but also on Facebook, on Pinterest, on display network. Yeah, and you have to calculate which is the ROAS and the ROI. Here we are talking about the return of ad spending. How much do I get for every euro that I invest on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, on Instagram? And when I know how much I do get, I can decide, okay, I will put 1,000 euros here, 500 euros here, and you can use your budget in the way that you will get more for your business.
And on the flip side of the coin, as a website owner, you can host other people's ads and you can generate a profit, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm mainly talking about e-commerce, but on the other side, for example, well, if you go to any, you are looking for any advice on Google, you will probably get to a blog or a magazine, and they are making profit or banners, maybe getting some leads or selling leads and so on. So you need so many visitors to your website. Yeah, these kind of pages have great SEO managers working for them and trying to get tons and tons of people to visit their website.
A curveball question: what would you say is the hardest website to do SEO for? Like, are there any particular industries that are particularly difficult to rank for organically?
Actually, I don't know if I could answer to the question, because I've mainly I've worked in an agency, and there I had 40 customers that I have to work on my own, 40 different pages. Yeah, but they were all local customers, so they were offering their services in a city, for example. Maybe it was difficult to rank on Google by the word lawyer or something like that. But I'm not. I do not have so much experience in other topics. I would say that e-commerce is much more difficult to rank for than any service keyword. It's easier to it's easier to rank for lawyer maybe than to rank for red shoes, because there are so many big companies like Nike, Adidas, Decathlon, so many companies that have great teams that are creating content day to day, that have a lot of money to invest on backlinks. So maybe I would say that e-commerce is one of the most difficult that I have in my experience.
It's a good point. I think it gets difficult when you go up against the big budgets like Nike and this, and
yeah, exactly.
They've got power. They've got spending power.
Yeah, IKEA, Zalando, they are doing great with SEO, and they can invest a lot, not only in backlinks, which is the thing that you think first, but they have a very good technical team, developers that are creating a website that flows perfectly, that all the information is gathered and structured in a very good way. And this all makes not impossible, but you have to have the same resources. Otherwise, it's very difficult to be above them. You'll be always like in the fourth, fifth position. You cannot get into the top 3 without this investment.
You mentioned earlier localization. So you said that you work for a lot of companies locally, or you were when you were an agency. Would you say that localization is a viable way around that? Like in terms of competing, should site owners be looking to localize their services with SEO?
Yeah, well, it depends on the company. I would think, yeah, but if you have a company that is has services that they give worldwide, I will try to somehow localize the pages so the people feel that not someone too far is talking to them, but to create some confidence and to be near to them. And in that sense, I have worked with companies that give services, and they create a local page for each of the places that they are giving the service to. And this works fine for SEO. Yeah, it's another way.
It's a smart move. You're gonna hate me for this next question, but
I hope not.
How long would you say it takes to start ranking with a brand new site, give or take? If you're putting in all the steps we've spoken about, how long before you start to see traffic?
It depends on several things. I will try to keep it shortly so we can understand it all. If you have a blog, it's quite easy to have visits, all right? In my personal e-commerce, I also have a blog, and I created it 1.5 years ago, more or less. And nowadays we are having 5,000 or 6,000 visits per month, right? I'm only putting like 2 hours a week, more or less, effort on it, right? But this is the second thing that I wanted to tell you. The time that you are putting on the project is crucial to see a difference. If you are working on it full time, like 8 hours a day, you can see results in maybe 6 months. Good results. You have to create backlinks, but if you are working full time, you are creating a lot of content, you are optimizing your content, you are optimizing your page load. And yeah, I would say that you can get results in half a year. If you are working like me, few hours a week, maybe in 1 year, 1.5 years, you can have good results. If you are working just a few hours a month, which is what happens in many agencies that have so many customers that they cannot provide a good service for SEO, and they work like a few hours a month, maybe results never come because your competitors are working full time and you are working just a very few hours a week, and they are going much faster than you.
Depends on the time that you have and what you're willing to put behind it. You've got to put in the hours, put in the grind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
On that note, say that you don't have time, right? So say that you are pressed for time, you have a site, you want to start ranking. What would you say is the core, the fundamental thing that you should start with? If you can do anything in terms of boosting your ranking potential, what would your main
if I didn't have time, I will invest first on a powerful site that loads fast, that is correctly tagged, that Google can crawl it easily. Once I have this, I will invest on regular content, someone creating good content, good quality content, even using your own images, because many people create a powerful content, but they take the images from Pixabay or from Pexels, but Google gives a lot of value to the whole content, and the content also means that you have to take your own pictures. Okay, so after the website, I would invest on good content creation once or twice a week at the beginning. And the third thing I would invest on would be on creating backlinks. But I would do it correctly, because, for example, there are different platforms where you can select several media, pay 50 euros, and they publish an article with a link to your website. For my project, what I've done is going to Google, looking for keywords that I'm interested in, taking the pages that are there, looking for blogs or magazines, and personally contacting them to ask about a quote on how much do I have to pay to publish a blog post on their website to a link to mine, or to collaborate in some way. Maybe we send some products to them for free, and they directly publish the blog article. So I'm not spending any money. I'm just sending some products. Of course, it has a cost, but it's much cheaper. And in this way, we are contacting really good media, not taking those ones that are already in a list or in a platform.
It's a very, very sound option. Very sound option. And my last question on that note would actually be, if you wanted to start with an SEO strategy, if you wanted to get it off the ground running tomorrow, ballpark figure, how much money would you need? Like, what is a fair budget for a quality SEO strategy if you're an individual?
Yeah, but you are an individual that knows about SEO. I mean, you can do things yourself, or you have to pay for everything that you want to do. Because in my side, for example, I know how to do SEO. I did a website, an e-commerce by myself. Not the best one, for sure. I took pictures of products, not the best one as well, but I did it by myself. If you want to pay for all of this, I would say you probably need like 5,000 euros, because an e-commerce nowadays is more or less 2,000 euros in Spain. A good e-commerce. Okay. You have to invest in a photographer that is taking the pictures. And after that, you have to invest on content creation. What I would suggest is that if you are starting a new business, it has to be something that you really like. And if you like it, you can create the content. For example, I'm very interested in natural products and olive oil and so on. I have experience, also professional experience with olive oil. That's why I started this business, right? I like creating content related to this. That's why I started with this business, and I don't have to pay someone to create the content, because I can do it myself.
Right.
Or I can create most of the content. All right. At a certain point, I had to pay someone to create because I didn't have time, but I didn't want to stop creating, because Google realized that from time to time he enters to your website and there's nothing new. All right. So it's better to pay someone to create the content.
Right. And then obviously you need your, you need your subscriptions, to core tracking platforms, and like you said, SEMrush and Ahrefs, which will cost a little bit, not much. Imagine a little bit.
From the very beginning, as I mentioned before, minimum viable product. You don't need Ahrefs from the very beginning.
Right.
Because you can use a free version of different tools to start. Yes, for the first month. You can invest more when you are already getting some income from your website or from your e-commerce or whatever. But from the very beginning, for example, I invested in a tool that is called Search Robot. This is the tool that I pay for from the first day that I started my personal projects. It costs like £6 per month. And this tool allows you to track every day how your keywords, like I have like 300 keywords. It allows you to track how your keywords are going up and down on Google. And if you are doing changes, if you improve a content in a page, or you make the page faster, you can take notes, and you see after those notes how the Google search results improve or not. Right. And then you can know if these changes that you are doing are beneficial, and you can replicate them in other pages, or if they are just not so good.
And you can test and see what works and use the best outcomes.
Yeah. There are other tools, like very useful tools, like a Screaming Frog and NetPeak Spider. They both are doing the same. It's like a technical SEO audit for your website. Okay. For example, Screaming Frog, you don't have to pay for it if your website has under 500 URLs. At the beginning, websites do not have this big size. So you can use Screaming Frog at the beginning. And after that, when your website is bigger, you can decide if you want to use some subscription and so on. But at the beginning, you have to invest on what really matters.
Very cool. Very cool. I've learned a lot. It's been awesome. Do you have any final thoughts? Do you have any tips, any tricks that we might not have covered?
I don't know. I would really put like some effort in all your audience to learn that nowadays Google values a lot the search intent. Okay, so they have to, if they want to rank a word on a keyword on Google, please go to Google, type this keyword, and look which result you are getting. If you are getting informational results, you have to offer informational results. Don't try to show products, because if Google is not showing products nowadays, it won't rank your URL. You have to create content in the same line with the same search intent that the content that is ranking nowadays. Yeah, I think this is one of the topics that is on the top nowadays, and also, as I mentioned before, the structured data and schema and so on.
Absolutely. It comes down to actually fulfilling a need, doesn't it? At the end of the day, you're trying to take people to a portal where they can actually find information and not get lost.
And if they get good results, they will probably come back, and you can even if they at the first they do not have the intention to come back. It's very important as well. Today we have all the GDPR and the data protection and so on. It's very important to show the customer something that they want, and they can give their lead, their address and their name in exchange. Because if you have this information, you have a lead, you can contact them in the future, and you can offer your products or your services. So I don't think that everything is SEO or everything is PPC. You have to try to have a wide vision of all the digital environment, and try to bring user with SEO, with PPC, but in your website, you have to try them to give you their personal data so you can contact them later on. And also, I forgot to mention that there is a very useful tool called Google Optimize. And this is also a free tool, and it's very, very interesting for people who are doing affiliate marketing or they have a shop, because this tool allows you to test two versions, is to create an A/B test of your website.
Oh, cool.
So you are creating a website with two different buttons, for example, one in red and one in black. Or one button is at the top and the other one is at the bottom, and you are asking for subscription. With this tool, you can test if the button subscription button is better at the top or is better at the bottom. And in this way, you are going to improve the performance of your website.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Let's remember that Google Optimize. I haven't used it personally, but I think that'll help me when I start my ecom website now after this.
Great. You can contact me then, and we will check it together.
There we go. There we go. I see a good partnership starting.
Yeah.
No, perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
It's a great conversation, and I hope you have a really great year ahead, and all the best with bringing in the best returns for the year ahead.
A pleasure to be here with Adcash, and just looking forward to see you soon.
Fantastic. Thanks, Javier. Have a great afternoon, and I'll chat to you soon.